We'll continue the introductions once every other person comes in. I'd also like to welcome fellow Rotarians and our guests. You're welcome to this event today. To continue, we're going to welcome the Rotary President, Rotarian Yvonne Solway, for her welcome address. The club president, please.
Welcome everyone. Good morning, CAG. Good morning, IPC, and Rotary. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all to today's workshop, organized by the Rotary Club of Harcourt Cosmopolitan in partnership with the Rotary Club of Marathon Town. This is in recognition of the World Youth Skills Day, which is marked on the 15th of the 15th of July every year. This year's theme, Youth Skills for Peace and Development, gave birth to this workshop titled Unleashing Youth Potential for Peace Building and Sustainable Development. I am Yvonne Iwo-Brown, the 2024-2025 President of the Rotary Club of Harcourt Cosmopolitan, and I am honored to be standing before such distinguished participants that are here with us today as we wade into the upscaling of our youth, unleashing their potential for peace building and sustainable development. The workshop is in line with two of the 7 areas of focus of Rotary International to bring about impactful and sustainable changes in our communities and communities around the world. These areas of focus, namely economic and community development, peace building, and conflict resolution. Rotary International is committed to spreading hope in magical ways around the globe. The theme, Youth Skills for Peace and Development, according to United Nations, underscores the crucial role young people play in peace building and conflict resolution. We are faced with a myriad of challenges today, many of which affect the youth: violent conflict, education instability, and persistent economic inequalities. All these issues threaten the overall stability of individuals and our societies at large. It is crucial to equip the youth with necessary skills for fostering a culture of peace, nurturing responsible global citizens, and promoting sustainable development to build a more just, inclusive, and sustainable future for all. We enjoin stakeholders and partners to join hands and invest in equipping youth with the skills and tools they need to thrive and create a change for a more prosperous, peaceful, and sustainable future. Before we start today, I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to all those who have agreed to speak at this event, and our mentors, our sponsors and partners who have made this event possible. All attendees here today. We thank you all for taking time to join us. Your presence and participation is what makes this workshop meaningful and impactful. Thank you.
Thank you, Rotary President. Whilst we're preparing for the objectives of this meeting, you have two sticky notes with you. One of them is written fears, and the other written expectations. Looking through your agenda, you're going to see the things you'll be expecting to learn today. So I'd like you to quickly write out what are your expectations. 2 quick expectations and what are your fears. Once you finish writing, when we're done here, you will quietly go and stick them accordingly on those papers at the left wing of the hall. Thank you. So at the end of the event, you will know if you met your expectations. All right, so very quickly, we have 3 objectives for this event today. And one of them is to raise awareness about the significance of World Youth Skills Day, to empower youth with essential skills for personal and professional growth, to inspire youth to take charge of their future development and provide a platform for networking and collaboration among young individuals. History and importance of World Skills Day. The World Skills Day is celebrated on the 15th of July every year, and it's an annual event launched by the UN in 2014. This year, emphasis has been given to upskill youth for peace and development. Rotary's commitment to supporting community development and youth empowerment initiative is celebrated on World Youth Skills Day, solely to equip youth with valuable skills and empower them to be proactive in their personal and professional growth journey on, aligning with the theme of the World Youth Skills Day 2024 is Youth Skills for Peace and Development, which according to the United Nations underscores the crucial role young people play in peace building and conflict resolution. On World Youth Skills Day, UNICEF calls on stakeholders and partners to join hands and invest in equipping youth with the skills and tools they need to thrive and create change for a more prosperous, peaceful, and sustainable future. This day is celebrated by youth, education institutes, employers, policymakers, and development partners to underscore the importance of developing skills for young people's engagement, employment, and empowerment towards sustainable development. For young people to become successful lifelong learners, find productive work, take informed decisions that will affect their lives, and actively engage in their communities, they need to access inclusive, relevant learning and skills development opportunities. Youth are not facing a challenging present, but also an uncertain future. That is why the Rotary Club of Harcourt Cosmopolitan is lending its voice and helping to upskill some youth today. Thank you. We would like to quickly welcome Mr. George Etomi, who is our keynote speaker, and he's already online, so please listen. Thank you. He's on, I saw him on.
President, fellow Rotarians, and guests. I would like to take a profile of our keynote speaker, Mr. George Nkpoku. George Nkpoku is a distinguished transaction lawyer who has been regularly consulted by multinationals, companies, and top government agencies. He was closely involved in acting for the first mobile telephone service in the country and advises major foreign airlines operating in Nigeria. He has extensive experience in commercial transactions, spanning arbitration and other ADR methods. Experience in aviation, building, construction, banking and finance, energy and national resources. He has represented clients on all variety of corporate and commercial matters, including public and private offerings, privatization and major project finance institutions. George Nkpoku has a special interest in the energy and national resource field, and is a member of the Center for Petroleum Law Research. He has worked over the years with numerous oil companies. He's the chairman of claims review panel and the chairman of the largest indigenous oil and gas company in Ghana. Nkpoku is a pioneer chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association on the section of business law, and is a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies, who is named a center after him, the George Nkpoku Center for Strategic Investment and Corporate Governance. He was conferred with the National Productivity Order of the Merit Award in 2014. George is married with children. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you our keynote speaker for today, Mr. George Nkpoku.
While we're waiting for Mr. George Nkpoku to come up, can you go face to expectations and your fears on that
Are we back on now?
Yes, you can go on. Yes, now go ahead.
Hi, anybody there?
Hi.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
It's provided it's not interfere with this. So if you want to use this space. I don't know why
Legend. Legend. Hello? Yeah, Legend. I can now. Did you call me? Okay, alright. Okay, I'll read that in the next back.
Unmute, let's tell him to join from here. We can hear you, sir. You can join now. Go ahead, sir.
So where is this topic? He's not listening. He's not reading his chat box.
Yeah, what's going on?
We're ready. We can hear you.
Iman?
Yes, sir. We're ready. We can hear you. It's like it's not very well.
Yeah, it's muted. Yeah, I don't know what is the laptop. Maybe you should call him on the phone. He's not reading his chat box.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Go ahead, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
I don't know why there is an icon here. Even, can you please call him?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is George Etomi. Am I loud and clear? Yes, sir. Okay, good. So is it my turn to speak now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I can just go ahead? Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Good morning, and I extend my warm greetings to the Rotary Club of Water Youth Conference in commemoration of the World Youth Skills Day, which is held every year to give hope to our young ones and to emphasize the importance of these youths taking their destinies into their own hands by acquiring the necessary skills that they require to pilot their way through life. My name is George Etomi. I'm a lawyer. Incidentally, I'm also from Rivers State. My mother is from Rivers State, Okrika. And I know quite a lot about skills acquisition. In fact, together with my twin brother, we actually have a foundation that has been training young ones in skills acquisition for the last 10 to 15 years. And hundreds of these youths have passed through the efforts of our foundation, and it's amazing how the results have been so uplifting. Many of these young ones who would ordinarily have very little to hope for, today have their destinies in their own hands. So what is the message for today as we commemorate the World Youth Skills Day? The message is one very simple. You must take your destiny into your own hands. And one way you can do that is to ensure that through life you control your income. Going to school is important. It's very, very important. To be honest, it should be the foundation. But academic qualification alone is not enough. In these very difficult times, we find ourselves in Nigeria, where unemployment rate is over 40%. And in the case of River State, almost the largest employer of labor, singular largest employer of labor is government. But today we know government all over Nigeria is broke. Minimum wage, even if when you get employment, you're going to get trapped in this minimum wage, endless minimum wage discussions going on. At the end of the day, even if you get employed and your pay cannot take you home, it's almost as if you didn't even go to school. And many people are actually more frustrated because they actually spend more money going to work than what they can get at the end of the month. And if you think about the transport costs, the costs with which you have to feed yourself whilst working, and then to give yourself the basic amenities in life, you'll find that a job by itself may simply not cut it. So one thing you can now do is to go and really train yourself and acquire one skill or the other. In doing so, you will control not just the means of production, but you will also control your income. And there are so many skills across human endeavor that you can begin to look at. So many. If I use our own foundation as an example of the things we do, we train people for fashion design. We train them for undersea welding. We train them for catering and all those things to do with the ability to cater for people. We train them to acquire equipment to improve on their fishing skills, farming, so many different things. And by the way, it doesn't have to be restricted to gender, because some of the catering graduates who have actually been men. And I can tell you that at least 2 or 3 of them have become so big, they are actually beginning to train other people on them. And some of these skills acquisition programs can take anything from 6 months to 1 year. They don't have to be very long. But what you simply owe yourself is to dedicate your time for that period you need to acquire the skills. In life as young people, you must learn to be true to yourself. I've always said that you are the only one who can answer the question, have I improved myself on a daily basis? Never mind what external people see in you. When you lie down and when you wake up, you are best placed to ask and answer the question, am I a better version of myself? Am I improving every day? If you keep this as your basic mantra, you will now begin to understand that the innate pride that comes with the ability for you to control your income will become the factor that makes you determined to succeed. So skills acquisition, it's a no-brainer. So the next question will then become, all right, so how do I get into one such program? For many people, there are financial constraints. 2, they don't even know where or how to start. And 3, they don't even have mentors. On the issue of financing, I know it's very important. Unfortunately, we don't have a very good small loan schemes where you can just go get a small amount to go train yourself with an obligation to pay back that facility. So some people depend on family members for it. But like I told you, there are NGOs who do that. And I believe the Rotary Club that organizes this event too might be able to lead you and guide you as to where you can do that. As for training institutions, they're all over the place. You simply try to know. There are catering schools. There are schools where you learn bakery. In fact, there was a lady we sponsored to go and do bakery about 15 to 20 years ago. And today she is like a master baker in America. And she started from very, very humble beginnings. Because what we do is that once you acquire the skills, we give you a starter pack. For women, there are those who go into design, fashion and design. That's huge, as you know today. And thankfully, we're becoming more and more proud about what we wear. So those who dedicate themselves to the fashion industry have a ready market. I have a list in Lagos who qualified from school. She worked a little bit, but just decided she would go into this Adire, I don't know how to scale it, or whatever, however to do it, together with a friend. And just being on the job and just being innovative, she's come up with designs and is now fashionable such that a few weeks ago she was featured on CNN. Now you might think it's all about privilege. It's not. It's all about talent. Once you have the talent, people will seek you. Then the third aspect I want to mention is mentorship. In life, we all need people to help hold our hands. You need people to hold your hands, and through mentorship programs, you will be assigned to people that you can call, even if you don't know them, even if you don't live in the same city with them. You can call them just to ask questions, because there are those stages in your life where you get at crossroads and you don't know whether to turn left or to turn right. At those times, you could help with mentorship. Okay? I believe the Rotary Club of Port Harcourt can help you with to guide you on mentorship program. In fact, what they're doing right now, even organizing this conference, is a form of mentorship. And you must begin to match these students with mentors. And I think that your mentors usually are your role models. So those who have succeeded in life, they share their stories with you. I'm happy to do that at any stage. Part of the program we do too in our foundation, we have a mentoring segment, where we just have young people like you, our children, our friends, talk to...
This meeting is being recorded.
Talk to young people like you who are expecting guidance in life about what to do. I'll tell you a very emotional story about this work that we've been doing. In one of our mentoring programs, I think it was my daughter that was taking it, a young girl who was in uni at the time apparently followed her friend to the session. She also meant to be there. And when she got there, my daughter noticed she sat at the back, and as my daughter was sharing and giving them pep talks, especially for women, how you must respect yourself, you must carry yourself well, you must not become victim of predators who make all manner of false promises to you, use you and dump you, and all that. I think it resonated with this young girl, and she was shedding tears. So at the end of the mentorship session, my daughter engaged her and asked to know why she was so emotional. And she said she wasn't aware that such a session was happening, that she had followed her friend just to buy time, because she had had an appointment to keep with a guy who had loaned her 30K to buy some computer or what laptop, I don't know, at that time, to help with her schoolwork. She didn't have the money to pay back, and he requested to have his way with her a number of times as payback. My daughter joined that cry. You know, that's what she just called and said, "Dad, look what's going on." So we had to quickly come to her rescue, give her the money to give to the guy, and we put her through a skills acquisition program, and today she's a proud owner of herself. So these are the things that can happen to you if you do not have proper mentors. And I say that especially in these very difficult economic times. It's so easy for people to prey on young girls. Whatever the temptation may be, trust me, do not give in to those sort of predators. Instead, go and acquire a skill, work hard. That innate pride you build from your ability to work hard and earn your income is what will propel you through life. Respect is earned. Nobody just gives it to you. So if you don't work for it, you will not get it. So I want to leave you today with these few words, but I hope that it will make a difference in the way you look at yourself from today going forward. Your destiny is in your own hands. Let nobody give you the impression that they are God's gift to you, and without them you cannot even breathe. No, God has not designed that any man or anybody needs to have such control over it. But the only thing you owe yourself is to be true to yourself. Work hard, work hard, work hard. And identify with only those people who enable you to be yourself. I would like to end on that note and thank the Rotary Club for inviting me. It is indeed my honor, and I like the fact that such charitable organizations like the Rotary Club established so many years ago continue to live up to expectations. And my particular thanks goes to the current president of the Harcourt chapter, Mrs. Iwa Brown. May God continue to strengthen you as you lead such a noble organization to bring hope and succor to our people. Thank you very much. I hope you all have me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, we heard. Thank you.
Okay, let's put our hands again for the keynote speaker.
Never just say I can stay for otherwise I'll excuse myself.
Well, they can still connected. I think that one's asking.
Okay, yes, you can stay for it, yeah. While we continue. All right, thank you. Helen? All right. That was Mr. George Etomi taking the keynote address. Right now, we will move on to our first lecture for the day, which is Introduction to Financial Management, Accounting, and Bookkeeping. And this very interesting topic will be taken by the past assistant governor.
Are there any questions? Or can I go?
Any questions? No, sir, we are good. There are no questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. All right.
Okay, our first today is introduction to financial management, accounting, and bookkeeping. And that will be taken by the past assistant governor, Ibimina Daminabo Amadi. Please let's put our hands together.
Rotarian President, Charter President, Rotarians of the Rotary Club of Harcourt Cosmopolitan, our wonderful students and youths, fellow Rotarians. I'm glad to be here. While we're waiting for the slides to come up, we're going to talk about introduction to financial management, accounting, and bookkeeping. It's a past topic which we cannot exhaust within this time, but we'll just do a summary of the basics we need to know and get our takeaways. And as most of you must have known or heard, accounting is the only profession that is practiced in Nigeria, not in heaven. So it's one of the certified professions by God. That's an lighter note. But accounting is not specifically for those that go to school and read accountancy. Everybody is supposed to be held accountable for their actions in one way or the other. So we're all supposed to be practicing accounting in our daily lives, in everything that we do. And then when it comes down to finances, we also are supposed to be accountable for all our finances, all transactions we do as individuals, before we even talk about our organizations or businesses. So accounting is something that for everything we do in our lives, all our actions, both financial and non-financial, we're supposed to be accountable for it. So we're going to look at financial management, accounting, and bookkeeping. The topic is kind of taken from in a descending order. So we're going to change it. It's supposed to be bookkeeping, accounting, and financial management, because we're going to start from the basics before you get to financial management. Can we do a slideshow? So this is the content of our discussion, introduction to financial management, accounting, and bookkeeping. Like I said, we'll do bookkeeping, key tasks in bookkeeping, accounting, key principles of accounting. Go back to the content slide. Bookkeeping, key tasks, let's just notice so that we can look up for them later. Accounting, key principles of accounting, differences between accounting and bookkeeping, financial management, key components of financial management. Next slide. So financial management, accounting, and bookkeeping are disciplines which are essential for running a successful business and making informed decisions. Like I said there, in everything we do, both financial and non-financial transactions, we are meant to carry out these activities either in the form of bookkeeping, accounting, or financial management. Let's look at the concepts under review. Next slide. What is bookkeeping? Let's pay attention. What is bookkeeping? Bookkeeping is the process of recording daily financial transactions in an organized manner. The process of recording our daily financial transactions in an organized manner. So it's not like keeping it in your head, I spent this today, we paid for this today. We're going to take time to record those transactions that we do. We have a lot of people that maybe are setting up a business, they buy a property, and they start building, and they start putting their assets into the company. But if you go to them, how much did you buy this time? Where's the document? They don't have it. I think I bought it about 20 million, about 10 million. Where the documents you'll be using to make purchases, you'll be buying cement, you'll be paying labor, what is it? So bookkeeping requires that you take record of every transaction that you carry out every day. It serves as the foundation for accounting and financial management activities. So the beginning of accounting is recording of our transactions. It also involves tasks such as recording sales, purchases, payments, and receipts. I talked about it. So every transaction you do, bookkeeping says record, because it's from the record you'll be able to get to the stage of using those information for financial informed decisions. Next slide. What are the key tasks in bookkeeping? Key tasks in bookkeeping. Recording transactions. I said that over and over again. The first task is to record. It's not to save your head. It's not to have it memorized. You have to take record of it. Because apart from you that is gathering that information, there are other users for those information. So those documents you're able to record is the first point of call. So documenting non-financial transactions accurately in journals or accounting software. We have moved to a digital era where everything is done through the system and accounting software. So either you use it in hard copy journals or you put them in the system. The system might be Microsoft Office tools or proper accounting software. Another task in bookkeeping is reconciling accounts. This involves comparing financial records with bank statements to ensure accuracy and identify discrepancies. So after recording, if it's okay, you paid 10 million for a land, you paid 500,000 to purchase building equipment, you paid 10 million to do furnishing, where are the documents? So when you show where you kept the records, you're also able to show your bank statement, either by cash withdrawal or by transfer. This was how the transactions were carried out. So you're able to reconcile. So perhaps there are some payments that you have made and then you don't record in your book. Bookkeeping is saying after recording, you get your source of where payments are done from, and then you're able to compare between the bank statements and your records to ensure that you have the same information captured on both ends. Generating financial reports. Generating financial reports. Creating reports such as profit and loss statements, balance sheets, and cash flow statements to assess the company's financial performance. For some organizations, we don't have accountants because people feel that we don't actually need accountants. Actually, good accountants are actually expensive to pay to maintain an organization, but they are worth it. Sometimes the more you think you are saving from employing those professionals, what you will lose will be much more than what you think you are saving. But there are some organizations that have employed people that have been doing this bookkeeping task for some time. They can even record and do bank reconciliation. So over the years, the bookkeeper can claim to be an accountant because you have been carrying out those transactions over and over again. So you could even go as far as generating reports. It might not be in-depth, might not be in line with the acts of accounting standards, but bookkeeping can give you that proficiency over and over to the point where you create reports such as profit and loss, balance sheet. I won't talk about this much. We'll get to accounting, then we'll discuss these financial statements of the organization. Next slide. So what is accounting? We have talked about bookkeeping. Bookkeeping is primarily recording financial transactions, reconciling those transactions, and transferring them into financial statements. Accounting, what is accounting? Accounting has to do with recording, classifying, summarizing, analyzing, and recording financial transactions. So it's not enough to just put down your financial transactions on your book. It's not enough to check if what you have in your bank statement tallies with your records put down. But it goes as far as recording them, classifying them. So you don't just wake up and say, what did we spend? We spent 1 million naira today, and you go to the bank account. But how were this money spent? You're able to classify them. That we spent 100,000 for entertainment, we spent 50,000 for salaries, we spent 20,000 for stationery. You're able to classify them in different categories so that you can say, why are we spending so much as 50,000 for entertainment? What and what did we buy? But if you don't classify them, you're not able to know where to look at to take informed decisions. So you summarize. After classifying, you can actually summarize. So if you have several expenses you made on the entertainment, you bought water, you provided for tea, entertainment guests, you're able to say total entertainment in a summary version. So you record, you classify, you summarize, and then you analyze what is the effect of these transactions we have done on the business, and then you report it through financial transactions. So it's not enough to record, but you also go ahead to classify. So from bookkeeping, which is recording, you go ahead to classify, you summarize, you analyze, and you record the financial statements, and then report them to the user. users. We have different users of financial information. We have the stakeholders, investors, owners of the business. We have employees in the business. We have government agencies. We have community people around us. We have investors that are interested in the business also. So all the financial transactions that we transmit to this position are used by all of us to make informed decisions. So accounting provides the financial information necessary for making informed decisions and ensures compliance with regulatory requirements. Let's start. What are the golden rules of accounting? Golden rules of accounting. In accounting, they say debit the receiver and credit the giver. Debit the receiver and credit the giver in accounting. But that's not the same thing that happens in the bank. When you receive, you have a credit alert. And then when you pay out, you have a debit alert or a bank. So it's different. Of accounting, so when you receive, you are taking, so we are debiting you. And then when you give out, because when you give out, it reduces your balance. So you're being credited. But anytime you receive, you are debited. So what are the things we debit and what are the things we credit? These are not the basic things we should know. You cannot get the grasp of this in just this short moment. Personal account. So when you make money payments to individuals, the company or you making payments to the individual, as you said to the individual, you debit the account because they are received from you. And then when you give, you credit your account because you are paid out. So if you have 10,000 naira in your bank statement, in your bank account, 10,000 naira as your balance, and then you go to make a purchase for a share. When you make the purchase of a share, you transfer money to the seller. You transfer money to the seller. You have credited your account. In accounting, you have credited your account. Because your assets, your monies are part of your assets. And then your assets are always having debit balances, while the liabilities are having credit balances. So you have 10,000 naira in your account, you buy a share, you credit the supplier, you pay him 5,000. You credit and then you debit, you are crediting your own account. And then the supplier that receives from you, you debit him for receiving 5,000 naira from you. Real accounts. Real accounts are those accounts that relate to companies' assets, liabilities, and equities. Assets are those properties that the companies they use within a long period of time to generate income. Anything that generates income for an organization is an asset. Liabilities are expenses that the company incurs in the course of making profit. Expenses incurred that will warrant you to make profit are liabilities. While equity has to do with investment, owners of the business, the money they are putting into the business. Are you going public? You have shareholders that are trying to invest in your business. We see the banks all selling shares now. So they are looking for equity owners. So those who are known as equity. So you have assets, liabilities, and equity. So those are real accounts. So for real accounts, you debit when you receive into those accounts, and then you credit when it goes out. So for assets, like now assets, like I said, if you have a share, you will debit your asset account because you have bought the share to the company. But let's say you buy a machine, a machine that used to manufacture your product. You will debit that machine account because you have received that machine into the company, and then you credit your bank statements where you paid out the money. So you're debiting the real account. The nominal account. Nominal accounts are accounts that subtract revenue and expenses. So we say for all expenses and losses are debited. When you pay for purchase of items for your business, maybe you are producing bread and then you pay for purchase, you debit your expense account and then you credit the vendor. For income and gains, you credit all income as you sell and you receive revenue from sales, you credit your income account and then you debit your expense account. So like I said, for nominal accounts, track revenue and expenses for a specific period. You know the difference between nominal accounts and real accounts. Real accounts track a company's assets, liabilities, and equity over its entire lifetime. While personal accounts has to do with transactions we do with individuals. But the key principle is debit the receiver and credit the giver. Next slide. So remember, we looked at the key principles of bookkeeping. We're also going to look at the key principles of accounting. Double entry, that was what we just looked at. For every transaction, there must be a debit and a credit transaction. So there's double entry principle in accounting. every transaction must have a debit and a credit effect. Otherwise, your books will not balance. So like I said, you buy a share, you debit your assets account that receives that asset, and you credit the vendor that you credit your bank account to the vendor that you debit. Every account has two legs, a debit and a credit. So the most important thing is to identify who should be debited and who should be credited. So every transaction has equal and opposite effects on two or more accounts, ensuring accuracy in financial reports. If you don't debit the second account, your reports will not be balanced. Hello? Another principle of accounting is financial statements. So we have the basic financial statements in accounting are the statement of comprehensive income, statement of financial position, and the cash flow statement. We have other statements, but these are statutory that cannot be overlooked. The statement of comprehensive income shows the statement transactions that are relating the income that comes to the business. If your income is generated daily, weekly, monthly, or as the case may be. So that statement of financial comprehensive income shows all the income that comes to the business as well as the expenses that goes out. Now that statement does not do it only, like there are businesses that let's say you're into sales of electronics, so that's your core business. But because of being in sales of electronics, maybe somebody might just bring a truck that they want to sell off and they want to sell it through your company. That truck is not part of your core primary business, the business of the business of doing electronic sales. And somebody wants to sell a truck and they bring it to you. But for the fact that you sold it does not mean that it's part of your transaction. But you also recognize it under other income. That's why it's statement of comprehensive income. So it contains your regular business and then it contains any other income that will come as you progress with your business. So it shows your income and expenses for the period under review. And then the statement of financial position. That statement shows our financial position as at any point in time. As at now, how much do we have? As at the end of June 30th, your financial position shows you how much you have in your bank. If you have up to 5 bank accounts, 2 or 1 as the case may be, you should have a statement showing it's divided into two aspects, non-current and current assets. Non-current assets are assets that you use for more than 1 year, for a period of more than 1 year. Any asset that you use in the organization for a period of more than called non-current assets. It used to be called fixed assets before, but it's now non-current assets. And then you have current assets, assets that are used up within 1 year. So you're able to state your financial position says as at June 30th, how much do we have as our current assets? How much do we have as our non-current assets? How much do we have as our liabilities? How much are we owing people? Let's say the company wants to hold, wants to pack or wants to close, but there's so much high in electricity in the university in Nigeria, wants to leave Nigeria. As at July ending, what is our financial position? That's what this statement is. It gives you a face value of the business at a particular point in time. So your statement of income and expenditure shows you the income that comes on a daily, monthly, weekly basis and shows the expenses as well as income from other non-operating activities. And then your statement of financial position shows you at a glance the status of the business, all our assets, how many shares do we have, how many people do we have, the net depreciated value because we depreciate the assets as you progress year out. So it shows you at a particular point in time what we have. In case you want to sell off your business, you want to value it, this financial position shows you the state of the business. And then the cash flow statement, it shows you movement of cash in and out, operating expenses, investment expenses, and administrative expenses. Shows you in and out. What have we spent for operating? What have we spent for investment? What have we spent for capital expenditure? And what has also come in? So it's different from the statement of financial position and statement of comprehensive income shows you the profit for the period. That's one thing you take out of that. After you show your income and expenditure, it also shows you this is our profit for the period. If we have funds that are reserved, this is what is also reserved. But the cash flow statement just shows you movement in cash. How much has come in, how much has gone out. So that also helps you to plan for your expenses in subsequent periods based on your workflow in your organization. Auditing. Audit has to do the periodic examination of the company's financial records to ensure accuracy and compliance with accounting standards. We have 2 types of auditing. We have internal audit and external audit. Internal auditors report to the managers of the organization, while the external auditors report to the owners of the business. Now we're buying shares from bank. The only people that will give us the review of the business we have bought shares in to tell us that it's not the owners of the bank, it's the external auditor. Because the owners can decide to give you a picture of what they want you to see. But the external auditor examines the financial transactions of the organization to confirm that all transactions are carried in compliance with the law and they give the true and fair value of the organization performance of the business. So the internal auditor major work is to ensure that the control processes, internal control processes that are put in place are strictly adhered to in the organization. When you go to organizations, maybe you have your inventory, you have your sales, you have your bar. How are these processes followed? Who collects cash from customers? How are these cash deposited? Who reconciles it? Who pays money to the bank? Who issues out items from the store to the users? Who approves all these items are given to the store? When the staff are coming in and going out, what checks are there to check that they don't take away company organization items? What are the processes in moving assets in and out of an organization? All of these are internal control processes that are being put in place. When goods are purchased, who checks them to ensure that what was actually paid for is what is delivered? Who checks that they are original, that they are good condition? Who checks approvals or transfer of products of the company maybe from one branch to another? All of these are different internal control processes which the internal audit department oversees and reports to management, while the external auditor looks at the entire business within a period of 1 year and gives a view, his own perspective, if they are fair, they show a true and fair view of the transactions of the business. They are very important. Auditors are very, very important. Internal control systems and organization are very, very important. Otherwise, you put so much money into a business and you just helping somebody build that sort of for himself. You can have a very lucrative business doing very well, but if you don't have those controls monitored by the internal auditor and then the feedback given by the external auditor, you might not know where your monies are being taken to. Tax accounting. Managing the company's tax obligations and ensuring compliance with tax laws and regulations. This is very important in accounting. You don't want a situation where the revenue office will just come one day and seal up your premises. Sometimes it's not like you don't want to pay tax, but because you don't have a system, you don't have a structure that follows through all your organization and transactions and ensure that tax computations, tax liabilities are remitted as at when due. There is pay tax when organizations pay their staff, their employees. Pay tax is deducted from their salary. I supposed to be paid 7 days within payment of salary. Most organizations do not remit because as an employee you also need that remittance because at times you need your tax clearance. Maybe you want to travel out, you want to do a business, you want to go for political appointments, your tax clearance will be needed. So some employees actually do jobs and they don't remit. So it's very important that for an organization, the accounting department oversees and ensures that all tax liabilities, both for the employees and for the organization, is being remitted so that they don't harm. Again, key principles of accounting is double entry, preparation of financial statements, auditing, and tax accounting. Next slide. So what are the differences between accounting and bookkeeping? I said it here that somebody that is not read accounting can actually be doing the work of an accountant, but you cannot. What you're doing is bookkeeping because there's some professional trainings you need to do to get in-depth knowledge of accounting, except you are lucky to be working under a professional accountant. If you are working under a professional accountant, you can be trained to be a very good accountant if you are committed and the person knows what to do. But then you need basic knowledge. But then you can also do big bookkeeping when you carry out those transactions every day. But there are key differences between bookkeeping and accounting. Scope. Bookkeeping involves the recording of daily financial transactions such as sales, purchases, receipts, and payments. It focuses on maintaining accurate and detailed records of these transactions. So the basic thing is that proper records are kept. So for some organizations, sometimes maybe quarterly or half-yearly or yearly, they'll just bring the external auditor that's supposed to do the external audit. It's allowed within the law for you to render accounting services. So that's okay, help us prepare our books because if you don't prepare the accounts first, you cannot audit. Or they'll employ somebody at the end of 1 year after this to come and prepare our books for us. But it's not advisable. If you have an accountant on ground carrying out these transactions, monitoring them on a daily basis, it gives you a better view and transparency than waiting till there's a barcode and you don't want to just do a one-off. So bookkeeping mainly focuses on keeping those records. But for accounting encompasses a broader range of activities, including interpreting financial data to preparing financial statements, analyzing financial performance, and providing insights to support decision making. Accounting prepares this report, gives you a side-by-side view of the different periods, maybe by monthly or quarterly, half-yearly, or year-by-year analysis. You will see proper classification, analysis, and summary of the financial transactions of the organization. That service a bookkeeper cannot give to you. Timing. Bookkeeping is generally considered to be a subset of accounting and is typically an ongoing process that captures financial transactions as they occur. So bookkeeping, just as you spend, just record it. As the money comes, it's not time bound. You're not looking at any period, you're just keeping records. While accounting involves analyzing and summarizing the financial information provided by bookkeeping, it often occurs at the end of a reporting period, such as month, quarter, or year. I've said that over and over again. So accounting reports for monthly reports, quarterly reports, half-year reports, and yearly reports. While bookkeeping does not just keep your records, when we need it, you provide it. Next slide. Skills and knowledge. Bookkeeping requires a basic understanding of accounting principles and the ability to accurately record financial transactions. You just need that basic understanding. Like you know what to debit, and you know what to credit. We have paid this one, we are giving now. That's just what bookkeeping. So bookkeeping does not, anybody can do bookkeeping. Anybody, so long as you can read and write, just to keep records. But for accounting requires a deeper understanding of financial concepts, such as cost analysis, budgeting, forecasting, and financial reporting. Accountants often hold professional certifications, such as chartered accountants or certified public accountants. So for you to be an accountant, to understand the nitty-gritties of bringing out professional reports, you can read accounting as your first degree, and I know most of the schools they teach business studies. I think all those things are there. Accounting as your first degree, you can go to the professional courses with ICANN or ANAN or CDA. And then you must not be an accounting graduate for you to do those professional courses. 70% of chartered accountants are not accountants as in accounting graduates. 70% of chartered accountants did not read accounting as their first degree. We have lawyers, we have engineers, we have architects. So long as you have the flesh, or as a business owner, after you have gotten the knowledge you want, you are experts in your field, you have graduated, and you have the business, you can say, okay, let me go and do what I can. It's just that you have the time and the patience to go through the process of getting the certification. But it's not for just people that read accounts. Just that if you read accounts, there are levels that you be exempted from. But if you do not, you want to start from the scratch. But if you're determined, anybody can be a professional accountant. Accountants are the best managers in the world. If you're an accountant, there is no managerial position you cannot function well, nowhere as an accountant, because you are involved with all the transactions of the organization. Everything around the organization passes through you. So in course of collecting data, doing approvals, doing scrutiny, investigating, you are having knowledge of everything that applies in the entire organization. So what else do you need to read other than accounting? Next, reporting. Bookkeeping primarily focuses on recording financial transactions. Remember, bookkeeping is only the emphasis on recording. They just keep records. While accounting involves preparing financial statements, such as the statement of financial position, which was balance sheet before, income statement, and the cash flow, which provide a comprehensive view of a company's financial health. Next slide. Objective. What is the objective of bookkeeping? Bookkeeping is more focused on recording financial transactions accurately, so that if the business brings anybody to look, if the business owners bring anybody to look at the report, they have an information to work with. While accounting involves interpreting, analyzing financial data to provide meaningful insights for decision making. Both functions are essential for maintaining sound financial management in a business. It's better you have an accountant on ground, but then you don't have, you can have a good bookkeeper that will keep accurate records for your organization. Next slide. Financial management. So we have bookkeeping, we have accounting, we have been empowered, we know what is required to collect data, analyze, classify, summarize, translate them into financial statements. How do we now manage this financial information that we have? Financial management involves planning, organizing, directing, and controlling the financial organizations of an business of an organization. So we have all financial information as prepared by either the bookkeeper or the accountant. How do we use those information to manage our organization? The primary goal of financial management is to maximize the value of the company for its shareholders, while also ensuring the financial stability and growth of the business. Every person that goes into business, the major aim is to make profits, is to maximize the investment of the shareholder. Nobody goes into business because you want to operate at a loss. The only people that are going into business without having profit in mind is Rotary. It's only Rotary that goes into, because there is no profit. Everything we get is to spend. It's not even enough. So we're always at the deficit. But apart from Rotary, every other person that goes into business, the main aim is to make profit. So how do we plan with the financial information we are gotten from the bookkeepers and the accountants? Planning involves setting goals, identifying actions to achieve these goals, and creating a roadmap for success. There must be a goal. As we are setting up this business today, do we want to expand? Do we want to have more branches? Do we want to increase? Do we want to add value to our product? What is our goal? This business that you are moving, you are setting up as an organization, you are incurring a lot of expenses for. There must be a goal and a roadmap to achieve that goal. Organizing. It involves arranging resources, tasks, and responsibilities in a structured manner to achieve the goals set during the planning phase. You cannot just set a goal and then wait for it to actualize itself. There has to be special delegation of activities organized for people to take responsibility and carry out these actions towards achieving the set goals. Directing, guiding and overseeing employees to ensure they work towards the company's goals and objectives effectively. That's why there is management structure in an organization. Supervisors, head of department, so that they direct their subordinates towards the goal of the organization. Controlling, monitoring performance, those goals that we have set, do we monitor? How do we monitor that they're in line with our goals? The activities are in line with our goals. We need to monitor from our financial statements. We'll see if these things are in line with what we are planned to do. Comparing actual results to planned outcomes. The budget, remember budgeting is part of the task in accounting. So at the end of the day, we look at our budget and the actual financial performance and compare if we're doing better than our budget, having a budget deficit. And taking corrective actions as needed to ensure alignment to the company's objectives. It's not always going to be rosy for every business. That sometimes that your plans are so good, goals are so good, but your financial performance is so poor. Just like the state of the economy now, we cannot control the outcome of issues. So we can actually use those figures we have and compare and take actions to ensure that we improve on our performance subsequent periods. Next slide. So what are the key components of financial management? We have looked at the components of bookkeeping, accounting, and then financial management. So financial planning, we already talked about it. It involves setting financial goals, creating budgets, and forecasting future financial performance. There must be a plan. You not just wake up and go into business. Even as a petty trader, even as a single owner of a business, even as a partnership, a limited liability, there must be plans for you to measure your financial analysis. So under financial analysis, we analyze financial statements by assessing financial ratios and interpreting financial data to make informed decisions. At this point, you really need that professional accountant. The bookkeeper cannot give you this. So it's interesting to see that you're doing very well in keeping the records, but the organization should try to have professionals who are ready to train, who are ready to get trained, to get those skills to do this analysis through financial ratios. There are a lot of financial ratios that you look at and you know the health and state of the business. Cash flow management. Yeah, we monitor cash flows, cash inflows and outflows to ensure there is enough cash to meet the company's obligations. So you don't just wake up. For some people, some owners of business, their businesses are their interest accounts. They just come, how much did you sell yesterday? They take all of them and go. How much do you have in your account? Transfer to me. That is not profit. Everything that comes, sales revenue is not profit. Because you incurred expenses to generate that revenue. You bought goods, sometimes you're owing the suppliers. You are here to pay staff that work to carry out that activity. You are here to pay tax. You are here to pay your utility bills. And you just wake up every morning and call the cashier. How much did you sell today? Transfer the money to my account. That's not a good business policy. So you need to understand, the accountant needs to plan what is coming in, what are those expenses, statutory things that we need to spend, either daily, weekly, or monthly, to ensure that the business continues. Priority, of course, should be given to employees and creditors, because once you're not able to pay your vendors or suppliers, the business is going to go down. So we're able to plan very well our cash inflows and cash outflows to ensure that the business continues to run. Risk management, identifying and mitigating financial risks that could impact the company's financial performance. As an accountant in a company, you should be able to advise the organization on the possible risk as your businesses are going on every day. You might be into your organization is spending so much on diesel every day. You see that the power situation in the country is not encouraging. You can say, let's invest, let's go solar, let's go for solar power, solar energy, and invest in it. There are a lot of shares now going, you have a lot of money in your reserve in the company. The accountant, before you advise your management, let's go and buy fidelity shares, let's go and buy, look at the risk involved. What are the past incidences compared to bank shares? Are they profitable? Is it worth it? Any other investment that come in, the company does not tell me to it. Or maybe you see your competitor has started producing one kind of product and say, they are there, let's also go. Have you also looked at the risk, the inherent risk, so that you don't go and crash? So for accounting, you must ensure that you look at all possible risks that will bring down the business. Next slide. Bookkeeping, accounting, and financial management are integral parts of managing business finances effectively. By understanding these disciplines and implementing best practices, businesses can make sound financial decisions, maintain financial health, and achieve long-term success. You don't need to have a multi-million business before you know that it's very essential that you keep accurate records of your business, you analyze them, you compile them, you summarize them, and you use them to prepare financial statements that will guide business owners, government, employees, stakeholders in making informed decisions that will make your business continue to thrive. Thank you.
So we'd like to take some questions. Any questions? But ma'am, before you take from anyone, I'd like to ask, I'm a POS operator. I don't run a big organization. But I'd like to know, how do I keep records? Because I'm sure it's in somebody's mind. As a POS operator, I know that I do my transactions on a daily basis. But I also want to keep track of the profits I've made. I want to keep track of, am I spending my small money from my account without knowing it? I also like to know how on daily basis, at the end of my business day, I can take my records, go to the bank. What do I need to do? Do I need this? Do I need that? To be able to be clear on if I'm actually doing this business the right way or not. Thank you very much.
What's this organization behind the online POS? What's this company?
What do they call them again?
The middle people
Yes.
Yes. So they make millions of naira every day. For every business, apart from the POS operators now, for every business that uses POS, you need an accountant that will do daily POS transactions. Sometimes those debits you are seeing successful, they don't drop in your account. They are making so much money. Some of those debits receipts you see you pay and sometimes they don't drop in your account. So you need somebody, you need to set up a structure that will take all your, then some of your employees will carry old POS receipts where the date is clean and put in your transaction for yesterday. Maybe somebody paid 20,000 POS. They'll have, I'm not telling POS fraud now, they'll have a POS receipt that the date has clean, 20,000, put it and take cash sales. Wow. So you will see that the account is balanced, their reconciled account is balanced, but they are not. Wow. So you need somebody that will be getting the statements because you come there. Now, okay, now you get your statement every day. Yes. So you do your reconciliation and make sure that what you're saying in the bank and the paper that your employer is giving you is the same. So you need that reconciliation every day. And then you need to record what you're taking and what you're doing.
Are we learning? Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
I sell and take trade.
Use your mic.
Yeah, I sell. No more. Speaker. Okay, thank you. Good morning, ma'am. I sell petty trade, where I sell crayfish, palm oil, ogusi, and all that. How do I keep record?
Okay, so another basic skill we can also have is if you can, maybe you like so you have the physical journals where you will draw. If you're on IT, if you're computer knowledgeable, you have your Excel. Excel is the basic thing you can use. So you will have what you use to buy your products, like the fish you buy in bags. You record what you bought. Then you know if you're selling in those your rubbers or baskets. If it's 20 baskets that comes out in a bag, let's say you buy the bag for 20,000 naira, and you have 20 baskets and you sell in baskets. So you put a record where you put that you bought 20 baskets, but you're not selling out in a bag, 20,000. So when you now sell, right, you already know your cost is 20. So if you're now selling, let's say 1,500 per bag, it means at the end of the day, you have 30,000, you have a gain of 10. So you're able to record what came in as you are selling, you are putting the quantity that you have sold. Perhaps if the last one you said, because of data that you're putting and all that, the last one might not be able to be up to that amount, be able to know what you're expecting. And then you also buy waterproof that you use to pour. You record that as an expense. That is not an admin expense. Operating is not part of your cost of sales. Your major cost of sales is what you bought and what you actually sold. Then you have that. Then now say you bought waterproof. Maybe you even pay the wheelbarrow person that pushed the rollers to that level. You see, at the end of every day, you can actually calculate what you're making from your business. So you don't think that you sold 30,000, your profit is 10,000. No, you are not taking care of your waterproof, your wheelbarrow guy, your revenue people that you're paying tax every day. So if you do that, then you see the actual money that came out, and you now maybe keep it. But before you know, you'll be able to recover your capital. You can save your capital aside or add it to double your investment. So it is possible to record everything you're doing.
So get your record and sales book ready every time you go to the market.
Good morning, everybody. Please, my question is about shares. I have shares with some companies, including MTN and Rotary and GTV and some others. So, my question is, do you think it is a wise investment, not for now, but in future terms?
I think I used to be talking about that area. We're not talking about investment choices now. So maybe when you talk about that, we'll address that.
Any other?
Good morning. Please check her mic. I can't hear her.
I said granite.
The mic is not working.
It is, but she's not talking about.
I said granite.
Okay.
When you said finish, I gather my money. I look the way of I said granite. Then I said finish, I gather the money. And then I calculate my gain and I remove it. I check every damn thing I said. If my gain is 10,000 naira in that place, then I look the way together. But sometimes when you look the things you do, the money is not circulating. So how will you do to save out your income or your gain? And also, some business will do have a bank where you give account number to send the money. Sometimes the bank will be frustrating you in a way that you get your alert, you will not see it that very day. You will not see 2 days, you have not seen your alert. And you may think that that person have not transferred your money in your account. Maybe you will be calling, like GT now have some problem that you think that your money is lost or they are cutting out your savings. So how will we be saved by putting our money in account?
Okay, so first on your savings, I think for petty business owners, the akawo is still on now. People doing akawo, those people that go to collect money daily, it's still on, right? No, there are some of them you know that be there for years. There are some that be there for years. Or you can also go and deposit your money in your bank every month, even if it's 2,000. Because what you're saying is that you're actually seeing the profit. But before you know, there are other things that are coming, you spend the money on. So you can discipline yourself. The first thing tomorrow morning, that money I made yesterday, I'm going to take to the bank. But there are those that are people that have been there for years. If you don't trust them, but if you trust them, discipline yourself and make sure you pay that your, if it's 1,000 or 2,000, you made up your mind to pay. Because you might not really get that bulk the profit you're expecting for the depending on the nature of business on a daily basis. But for those that are getting bulk, ensure that you look at what you need to spend and then pay the deposit into the account and restrict yourself to those expenses that are necessary. Don't get carried away because you are seeing so much coming in that is profit. Don't just get carried away with that amount. Be able to separate. As if you're putting those records down, you will see how much you used to pay for those products. You will see how much has come in. You will see what you have spent. So you actually know what you are declaring as profit. That's why a lot of businesses, even though they are all cashing down, because you are not actually settling the expenses and the liabilities that come from the business. Then for the banks, maybe you need to talk, usually people also talk about that, I'm sure when you talk, it's versatile in banking. But then before we go and open accounts, network issues with banks you cannot control. You cannot control network issues. But I'm not sure there's any bank that does not have one network issue that tell me once in a while they are there. But if you know there are particular banks that are consistent with transfer issues, account transfer not working, you must have heard they don't open account with such banks. But I don't know, you cannot, but there are some banks, we know the leading banks in the country. We know the leading banks. So if you want to open accounts, you know those kind of banks that you should invest and deposit your money to. But for network issues, CCB I think is one of the strong banks now. So you cannot really rule out network issues, it happens. And then for maybe our students and some people that are not yet settled in one carry or the other, as you finish your SS3 or your exams, or as you go on holidays, ICANN has 8 years program. 8 years. It's like a pre-ICANN certificate for those that are, because before you do ICANN, you must have a degree or HND. So for a student, maybe while you're waiting for your JAM to enter university, you can do that 8 years program and start learning accounting. Because no matter what you want to read in the university, take it as an additional skill that you acquire. Because even if you own your business, your accountant can deal with you if you don't know what accounting is. So it's not enough to be a medical doctor, it's not enough to be an engineer. You should know those basics. So that even when they are bringing reports to you, you look at it, you understand. So you can do that 8 years as a basic to ICANN. It gives you a diploma certificate. You can even be in school. If you're in a school where the environment, some schools, inside the institutions, they have accounting, training, centers, so some close by. After that 8 years, while you're in school, you can enroll in ICANN, write the exams at your own pace. If you're reading management sales accounting better for you, it will help you to perform better in school. But all of these things are good. We all need that accounting background knowledge. So that when we become CEOs, we understand what reports our employees are bringing. When we are management staff to organizations, we can give better results and information to guide our organizations. Any other question?
Okay, yes. Last one. Okay, the last one. We live in a very tech world. Yeah, you mentioned Excel as a tool that you can use for accounting. Are there other simple accounting tools or applications that techie business owners can use?
Okay, there are a lot of accounting softwares, but these days we see a lot of people going around selling accounting softwares. They say they are tailor-made. But that's why that most of those softwares, when they come, if they'll just do a setup for you, you use it as they go, you have a lot of issues. I always recommend Sage. Sage Pastel, Sage 300, Sage that have different versions is one accounting package that you can trust. You can also do QuickBooks. The only problem with QuickBooks is that QuickBooks you can actually delete data. You can do a transaction, you can do postings, even generate reports and submit. Management has seen that one, but somebody that wants to cheat on your organization that is very good can actually go and delete data. So I always recommend Sage, but a lot of accounting softwares, which is better than Excel or and work. So if you get those software, but Sage is one that you cannot alter. Even if you have made a mistake in reverse, You can reverse, so you see the original entry and you see the correction. But some of those other softwares, they can post and delete. So for a business owner, you're actually operating at a loss, thinking you're looking at a real report or not. So there are a lot of software, Sage, or you can do QuickBooks and other. Also, most of those on the screen will say, I will do it the way you want to see. Most times they don't. We can get later, but for now, I'm not seeing the better one we can actually recommend. But you can also try out and they'll give you a demo of what they have to offer if it suits your business. But always work with licensed providers of such software. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you put us Yes, okay. Okay. So before we take the next speaker, we just want to quickly recognize the presence of PAG Ibim Seminitari, who is the Rotary Public Image Chair. Welcome. We also want to quickly recognize the presence of Mrs. Ifoma Okapo, who is representing Dr. Mercy Bello Abu. So our next speaker is Rotary Shitu Abdul Rashid. He is the immediate past president of the Rotary Club of Harcourt Express. He's an environmentalist and a peace ambassador. Let's put our hands together for him.
Rotarian President, my Regional Public Image Chair, APIC, Past Assistant Governor of the Cemetery, the ultimate Charter President, my very dear sister and friend, Past President Isobespi, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, co-facilitators. I am particularly happy to see the number of students, a big number of students in this room, and I see that we have a mixed audience of traders, POS operators, Rotarians, and other professionals. When I was introduced, I was told that you were told that I would be giving a talk or delivering a lecture. Well, that is not exactly true. I am here to facilitate a discussion, and everybody is going to participate. I don't know if you've got this piece of paper with the two colorful post-it notes. One says expectations, the other one says fear. And I'm expecting that, going by the age of some of the people in this room, I would have seen that fear one would have been filled by now. Well, have no fear. And so today I'm going to be talking about youth engagement for peace and sustainable development. And this is the topic that is particularly dear to my heart, because I'm sure we can all relate to the components of this topic. Number one, peace. Please, if there's anybody in here that does not desire peace, let them indicate now so that we know what to do. If you love peace, please, raise up your hand. If you're not sure, raise up your hand. Okay, I think that one is settled, right? Now, is there anybody in this room who does not want or desire development? If you're here, indicate. Okay, I'm sure there's nobody. Please, let's give ourselves a round of applause. We're all here to pursue the goal of achieving and sustaining peace and sustainable development. So, in order to proceed, I would like one very confident student. I think I can do it. I would like one very confident student to please stand up confidently and tell me what they understand by peace. Anyone? And when I say student, I'm not just talking about present students, the past or future students, but present students. In your own words, what do you understand by this? Yes.
Peace can be defined as Peace can be defined as absence of war, presence of harmony, balance, and
Please, let's give her a loud round of applause. Does anybody want to add anything else? Okay, that's very good. So, peace can be defined, according to her, as the absence of war, presence of harmony, and balance. That's fantastic. Lovely. All right. What about development? Anyone? Development. If you get it, and you will get it, we'll give you a round of applause. Development. In your own words. And please, let me just say that Pidgin English is lingua franca in this room. So it's also allowed, okay? So, development. Okay. Change. Yeah, according to our development, it's all about change. What's your name, sir? Kelvin said development is an approach to growth or for growth. Any other person?
Yes, please.
Yes.
development is the act of improving oneself for the society in order to go higher.
Fantastic. Please give both of them a round of applause. Okay, so now that we understand that, what about sustainable? What do we mean when we say that something is sustainable? Anyone?
Something that stays.
The women are winning. Everlasting. Nice. Something that lasts. Something that can be maintained. Something that will continue for a long time.
Something that continues to
Something that will continue to stay at a certain rate or level. Thank you very much. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Next slide. So, at the end of this session, we would have covered these points. We would have defined the terms that we're dealing with. We would have examined and understood the relationship between peace and sustainable development. And we would have an answer, hopefully, to this question. Next. But the crux of the matter is, how do we empower the next generation of children? So let's go. Now, we have looked at what your understanding of these concepts are. So, peace. We can define peace in two ways, right? The first one is the one I think we touched on, and that is the absence of violence or fear of violence. An intuitive definition, definitely, everybody would go to that definition, right? But according to the Institute for Economics and Peace, peace is deeper than that. it is broader than that. And so that takes us to the next definition, because what we defined initially is known as negative peace. Positive peace, on the other hand, is the attitudes, institutions, and structures that create and sustain peaceful societies. I'll take that again, slowly. The attitudes, institutions, and structures that create and sustain peaceful societies. Next slide. Now, can we see the difference between positive peace and negative peace? There's a big difference. On the one hand, the definition is very simplistic. But you know that it goes beyond that. Let's look at Nigeria, for instance. Technically speaking, is our country at war? Are we at war?
Yes.
With whom? Okay, so conventional definition of war. First, it has to involve territories, right? Sovereign territories in most times, right? That's the reason why they call one civil and the other one regular. There has to be a declaration. So who declared the war? Did the government declare any war? Did the government declare any war? No. So technically speaking, we're not at war. But are we at peace? Why are we not at peace? Looking at the definition, why are we not at peace?
There's economic war.
No, let's leave the economic war first. But although that's part of it. But let's look at the definitions again. What we have is negative peace, correct? Because there is an absence of war. Right? But when we look at positive peace, it says this is something to do with the attitudes, the institutions, and the structures that create and sustain peaceful society. So do we have those ingredients? Our institutions, are they working properly? What about our individual attitudes? So you begin to understand the concept of peace more holistically. Okay, let's go. Yes? It looks like it's not only the institutions that are not working too much. I'm going to share the visual with you. Okay, very good. Now, remember we said that positive peace is broader. It provides optimal environment for, when you have positive peace in a society, it provides all the enabling environment for human potential to flourish. And for you to have positive peace involves 8 pillars. It has 8 pillars. And what are these 8 pillars? You examine them and then you begin to understand certain things better. First of all, one of the requirements is you have to have a well-functioning government. Please, when you want to ask me questions, don't ask me questions about that one. I cannot explain too much. Then there must be equitable distribution of resources. What is one of the biggest problems we have today? Some people have too much and some people have nothing at all. So for there to be positive peace, there has to be free flow of information. Those whom we have elected, those whom we have entrusted with control of our resources, have to give us information. They have to be accountable. There's a law that was passed in this country. It's called the Freedom of Information law, act. Well, we have seen freedom somehow in movies. We have seen the information somewhere. But we have not seen any act to back up any action. See, getting information about the activities of government or corporate organization is still a problem in Nigeria. So again, if you want to mark whether we're doing well there, I'm sure you will be able to do that. Then good relations with neighbors. Good relations with neighbors. So Nigeria now should have very good relations with all of our neighbors. If you are surrounded by enemies, can your country be peaceful? Exactly. The next one is high level of human capital. High level of human capital. Now let's drop this one down. It means that you should have in your country more people that are educated. I'll break it further down. You should have a very high percentage of educated women. Do you know why? Because the first teacher a child has is who? So if you have a situation where women are not educated, they will not know what to eat when they are pregnant, they will not know certain exercises to do, they will not know all that, and these have direct impact on the health of the unborn child. And then when the child is born, a woman who is illiterate is likely not to take the education of her child very seriously. And remember that the level of education or development of human capital will determine economic functions. That means how well that country is going to do. Because who are the people that make up the country? Who are they? The citizens, right? So if you have uneducated citizens, you already have problems. People who get information from gossip and rumor mongering, people who don't read, and people who want to become rich overnight by doing Yahoo Yahoo or whatever it is. People who think that prayer is going to make them rich. That is a sign of low level of human capital. Another aspect of positive peace is acceptance of the rights of others. Who can tell me why this is important? Why is it important to accept the rights of others? I'm going to mention one word as expo. Contract. What is a contract? What is a contract? Yes, please.
It's an agreement signed between two parties.
Very good. An agreement reached between two parties pertaining to a particular matter, issue. So, if the lady who asked about POS, about how after trader taking the money to the bank and then for 3 days there's no alert, so you don't know what is going on, and then one day some of the alerts will drop, some will not drop. That's the breach of contract, is it not? The contract is that when you open an account, the bank is going to furnish you transaction alert on your account. Is that not correct? So when they fail to do that, is that a breach of contract or not? So can you say that the banks have accepted your rights? Hello? Are we together? The students are awfully quiet. Why? What's that? Have they accepted your rights? Okay, so let me give an example to students. Your parents take you to a certain school. You are given a list of things to provide and fees to pay. And you finish paying that, and in the middle of the term, without any justification, I don't know, your parents are asked to come and pay more money like that. Is that an acceptance of your right? Do you not have a right to pay money and expect to get service? Have they accepted your rights? So in a country where your rights are not accepted or recognized, are you going to feel peaceful? Hello? You don't know? Do you feel that there's peace in that country? No. Exactly. So again, this applies to doing business, ease of doing business. We hear about foreign direct investment. We want people to come from the US, from Asia to come and invest in our country. But if they know that your country is a place where if you disagree with your business partners and go to court, you will not get justice, would they come? They will not come. So in that kind of country, in that kind of society, you cannot say that there is positive peace. Low levels of corruption. Low levels of corruption. In a country where there's low levels of corruption, can there be sustainable peace? Yes. Really? Okay. I think it's not the answer that is faulty to the question. High levels of corruption would guarantee that there is no peace. But when you have low levels of corruption, it means that you can come with your 3 million naira and do business and make your profit, take it to the bank and enjoy your profit. But when you have 3 million naira to do business and the person whose office you're going to for contract wants 300,000, which is 10%, right, out of it. And then somehow the local government people come with this very long list of things that don't exist. And they impound your truck and you have to pay bribe. Is your business going to do well? If your business is not doing well, not because you're a bad business person, but because people are extorting money from you, do you think there is peace in that? So for there to be peace, we have to fight to ensure that we have low levels of corruption in our country. Those Nigerians, I hope you are taking notes. You score it. Then, sound business environment. Sound business environment. The lady who sells the fish, the POS operator, and the speaker before me, who talked about accounting and what have you. If we do all these things and we have a sound business environment, it means that we have an environment where we don't have to pay bribes. It means you have an environment where people respect your rights, including your rights to contract. Then we can say that we have a peaceful society. Next. So if we have all these 8 pillars of peace standing well, it then means that we have a society where the best of human potential can flourish. Now we're coming to sustainability. By our definition that we gave, sustainability is about keeping something alive and going for a long time, maintaining it. Okay? So if you're doing business, you will only be able to say your business is sustainable if you're running your business well and it's going for a very long time. So if you run a business for 20 years and then the business dies, can you say that that business is sustainable? Have you sustained the business? Don't forget that there are businesses that are still going today that are like 300 years old. Okay? Good. So, but we're going to be talking about sustainability in a broader sense of it. We're going to remember that our aim is to talk about sustainable development. So let's look at sustainability in a broader term. There are several components to this, but we're going to look at it from a social point of view, social progress, diversity, and what have you. And then we're going to look at it also from an economic perspective and from an environmental stewardship perspective. Now let's look at it from an economic perspective. You want to use your resources well, you want a sound business environment, you want low levels of corruption so that your economy is attractive to people to come and invest. The more money you have in your economy, the more you're able to sustain its growth, right? That's that. And then in terms of environmental stewardship, it then means that you will use resources. And Please, young people, take notes because this actually concerns you. You see, all of us who are above 30 and on, right? Right now we have the power. We're your fathers, your mothers, your leaders, and what have you. But who actually owns the earth? Who? Who owns the earth? God. Okay? Who put us here? Good. So what's the difference between the older people and the younger people? Who has the power? The older people have the power. The younger people have the time. So the older people, the older generation is holding the earth in trust for the younger generation and generations yet unborn. Have you imagined a situation where we use up the resources, finish everything? What will you come and manage? If you would like us to use up everything, raise up your hand. So, sustainability from an environmental perspective simply means we, the older people, and including you who are here on earth now, who are alive, should use resources in a manner that will help you to solve your problems of today without endangering future generations and finishing all the resources they need to solve their own problems. Is that not sustainability? Does it fit with our definition? Exactly. So that's what that means. Now, what sustainable development means essentially means that as we are planning our social progress and we are trying to achieve economic stability and growth, and we are taking resources from the environment, we should always be mindful that this thing has to be done in a manner that 200 years from now, future generations of Nigerians will be able to enjoy the resources of the earth the same way we did, so that they too can keep something, leave something behind for future generations. So where all these interests meet and intersect, here, that is where you have sustainability. Are we following so far? Where these interests intersect, that is where we have sustainability. It then means that we should be mindful in the way we do some resources. Next slide. Okay, so we define development. Okay? But look at the various aspects of it. The process of developing or being developed, as a dictionary says. Development is a multidimensional undertaking that achieves higher quality of life for all people. And this is the definition of the United Nations. Economic development, social development, and environmental protection are interdependent and mutually reinforcing components of sustainable development. That is the chart that I showed you, where the whole is. Next. Now, you would have heard about sustainable development goals. If you've ever heard of sustainable development goals, raise up your hand. If you have not, congratulations. This is your first introduction. These are a set of 17 goals developed by the United Nations with the aim of ensuring that people access and achieve economic growth and development, and all these by the year 2030. Now there are 17 goals, and if we just run through them, they want an end to poverty, they want zero hunger, poverty, zero hunger, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, and sustainable cities and communities, climate action, life below water should be protected, life on land should be protected, peace, justice, and strong institutions, partnerships for the goal. Who can tell me some of the words that we have repeated from the 8 pillars of peace? Can you see that there's repetition? Peace and sustainable development, and what else? End to inequalities, gender equality, and the rest of them. These things overlap. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next. All right. So these things overlap, and at the end of the day, what is it that we actually want to pass as a message? What can you do? Because this session is actually a bit complex, but take the simple messages. Consider this as an introduction to certain concepts. For those of you who don't know, today you have been introduced to the 8 pillars of positive peace, correct? Yes. Today you have been introduced to the SDGs, that's Social Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals. Now, putting all this together, what do we expect of you? How do we expect that to take charge of your life? Because, first of all, we expect you to apply the principles of responsible living, sustainable development. Then we, and by we I mean the facilitators of sessions like these, organizations like Rotary and others, should take time to educate, mentor, and train more youth, including giving you access to certain free trainings like the Institute for Economics and Peace has. There are several trainings that you can access. I'm sure the facilitators will share some of them with you. And then advocate youth leadership training. This is already part of what we're doing as part of this project. Now I know that the National Youth Service has SDG clubs. You can also have peace clubs in your secondary school and what have you. Then, through organizations like ours, we should strive to involve you in building partnerships. So that we introduce you to the concept of, leadership concepts at an early age, right? And please, I'm a Rotarian, okay, so I'm going to be a bit biased here, right? In Rotary, we have youth development programs, okay? We have organizations, within our organizations, that are aimed at developing youth leadership. One of them is Rotary, even though they are partners in service now. And then we have the Interact, and the Interact will be for secondary school students like yourselves. And then we have the Early Act for primary school. What these organizations do is to, one, teach you to have respect for the rights of others, give you basic leadership skills, and teach you structure so that you know how to organize meetings among yourselves. You know that one person has to be the leader, and you know that you don't just get up and start shouting like somebody who has all this to introduce you to these leadership concepts, so that by the time you grow up, you will be part of the well-developed human capital that this country can depend on. And then all this big drama that we're trying to break down for you today, you will continue to encounter them until they become second nature to you. And along the way, we will try as much as possible to introduce incentives to help you to grasp some of these things. Like the opportunity to be here today is an incentive as far as I'm concerned. You have something that others now that you've learned about positive fees and what have you, you can make more inquiries on how you are going to go back to your schools and promote peace and sustainability clubs in your schools. If you need support and further help, please contact the Nigerian president. Only to do that. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Yes, please.
Because the Vice Chancellor list supersedes your score. So there's a very thin line, there's a merger between people's needs, reality and corruption. So even when you know you are going to be part of a corruptive process, if you say no, you miss the things you need. How does one handle this?
Thank you very much. I think part of the reason why this kind of gathering is so that we can continue to preach what is right. There's a difference between people who know what is right, but find themselves sometimes in a situation where they are helpless and they have to do certain things to survive that day in order to live longer to be able to affect change in the future. There's a difference between that kind of person and somebody who does not know. The person who does not know, for me, is dangerous. So we'll continue to tell them. And you can see from their understanding that they actually have a very good grasp of the problem. But I think second to the last slide, the first thing I said as part of our call to action is we are hoping that they would learn to live responsibly and sustainably. That basically means all these things that they're learning, wherever they can, they have the power to put it to use. Corruption, bribery is a two-way thing. Some people will say, I don't give. Some people will say, I don't take. They won't take from you. But if they find themselves in a situation where they are helpless, they will give. There are very few people who don't take and don't give, no matter the consequences. Each person will have to make that determination for himself. But the best we can do is to say, look, this is right, this is wrong. And when you have the choice to make, and when you have the power, do what is right. I know some people who would not work in 9 to 5 because they cannot combat some behaviors. They would rather go and work for themselves. But you see that wiggle room is not much anymore. Even when you work for yourself, you still depend on others for some things, and the other play by your rules or nothing. So my advice in this situation is, we will continue to tell the truth, tell you what is right and proper, and as much as you can, do what is right and proper. Because whether you like it or not, when you do the wrong thing, at some point you may have forgotten, but it will come back to haunt you. It will definitely come back to haunt you. Your child has the aptitude to become a chef. You insist your child must be a doctor. You go and bribe people to write exams. You bribe jam people to do this. You bribe everybody. Your child becomes a doctor. What do you think is going to happen one day when you or somebody close to you ends up in the operating theater and that your child is a surgeon? They will come back to you. So that's, I think, in my view, is the only thing you can do. Yes, please. Any other question? Students, question? Ladies, question? In the absence of any question, thank you very much.
We're having a walking tea break right now because we can't actually break. So we're going to call up our next speaker, who is PhD Ibim Seminary, and she's going to be having discussions on the role of youth in shaping the future workforce through contribution to peace building and sustainable development. Let's put our hands together for Ibim.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I realize that everybody's been talking for a long time, and you're probably tired of the talk. At this point, you probably just want to just everything else but talk. Can everybody please start? As long as you don't have a teacup in front of you, so it doesn't echo. Please start. Start. Now.
What was that?
I've been trying to see who is the tallest person. It's not very easy to know. Because all of you look like you're about the same height, which is my height. Which is you're closer to the ground than the top. Can you please tiptoe? Let me see if I can locate the tallest person. Everybody, stand on your toes. Stand on your toes. Everybody. Everybody. I'm taller than you wish. Everybody on your toes. Tiptoe. Tiptoe. I'm trying to locate you. You're not standing. On your toes. Everybody. Like this. Like that. All people pretending that the teacup is there. Okay. Okay, settle down. Since you refuse to stand, did I tell you to sit down? Since you refuse to stand on your toes, now go down and touch your toes. Everybody touch your toes. Don't be like other president whose waist is not letting him. Touch your toes. Okay, since you refuse to touch your toes, everybody go to the right and touch your heel. Okay, to the left. Don't behave like my president whose waist is not letting happen. To your left, touch it. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. You may sit. Can you put your hands together for yourselves? Now, past President Shitu has made my job so much easier because he's talked about you and peace and positive peace. I'm not going to bother you with all of that. Let me tell you something you already know. About half of Nigeria are young people, 42.8, that's 43, correct? So about half of Nigeria are youth. I Are you with me? Yes. About half of Nigeria are young people. What that means is that you're a very strong force. You are an extremely strong force. If you don't remember anything else, remember that. You're a very strong force. Once you are in the bracket, you are in that age of between that you're under 40, you are a very strong force. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. The unemployment rate has been rising since 1981. We moved from single-digit unemployment. Right now, unemployment is at about 38%. Hello? Hello? Does that look like a very nice figure? What that means is that by the time you finish from school, you will not have a job. Are you sad or very happy? Are you sad or very happy? That by the time you're finishing school, you're not likely the chances of you getting a job is about 60%. That's the sad part. But here's another good news. You know, I'm sharing the bad news. The good news is that you are a potential force to create your own jobs. Hello? Are we still together? Yes. You're a potential force to create your own jobs. Another bad news, government cannot provide work for everybody, anywhere in the world. So even if you jackpot to Canada, oh yeah, Canada. Are you singing with me? What types of level? It means that even if you jackpot to Canada, government doesn't have a job. But private people have jobs. So it's a possibility. Can you therefore create your own job here? Yes. Hello? I'm talking about you shaping the future in terms of job creation, national development, and peace and sustainability. So yes, you can create your own jobs. But I have one bad news again. I'm sure you're tired of the bad news. That the banks that used to give money to small businesses before are not giving money anymore. And I hope that when the charter president speaks, he will address that. So there's no money in the banks. Looks like a vicious circle, correct? What are we going to do about it? And that's why we're having this conversation. What can young people do about being a potent force to create jobs for the future that will lead to peace and sustainable development? Because one of the things we find is that when people are not actively engaged, they become a good source for what? Conflict. Are you with me? Hello? Now there's a lot more good news that we need to talk about. Nigeria has a lot more gas than they have oil. So there's actually potential for youth employment in that sector. What are we doing about it? Nigeria has the most in terms of arable land, that is possible land for farming. And food security is absent. So we're importing beans from Mali, cows from Niger, garlic from Ghana. And then we have so much land. It means that there are possibilities for us to create jobs for the future. And that those jobs don't have to be PA to the SA to the CA to the politician. Are we still together? So we find that we are losing the opportunity to create sustainable jobs. Having made all that noise, let me hear back from you. What can we do about it? Suggestions. What can we do about it? We're talking about you shaping the future. Job creation. Tell me what you think you can do about it. Talk to me. Ladies, is there anything at all as a young person that you can do about this issue of jobs? No, because even right now, we're talking about young people creating jobs for the future, right? Now that you think about it, is there anything you think a young person can do? Yeah? What is possible? So then you tell me, what are you thinking of doing when you leave school? I don't know. What are your thoughts? What skill would you like to acquire? Patience. Whoa, you love to cook. Awesome. Okay. Is there any young person in the room that has created a job? Any young person? No, but it's really that blew my mind when she talked about selling raffles. Where is she? Where is that lady? Okay, she's there. Okay, no problem. Anybody else? Creating jobs for the future. Anybody? Nobody? Nobody is helping me. Nobody in this room plans to be a job creator. Let me break it down. Okay, is there any, yes, really? Let's hear it. Is there anybody in this room that has more than, you don't decide, no problem work, and you're doing something for yourself? Yes.
So most times, we have labor work, we have projects, manual, factory,
wow, so whenever she's home, she does poultry. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Dry fish. Wow. You you bring it to Port Harcourt. Awesome. Anybody else? Now, here's something. I understand that everybody here may not be a Christian, but from a Christian bias, the Bible says, I write to you young men because you are strong. One of the attributes of young people is strength. That's why you're such a potential force for creating jobs for the future. So someone talked to us about poultry, someone about dry fish, anybody with great ideas. Yes, ma'am. Wow, you turn waste into valuable items from education. How is that going? It's profitable, it's durable. Okay, so basically in this room, what we're saying is that we have all of the energy that we require to create jobs for the future and build sustainable development. I'm going to wrap up with what I call the 5 C's. The 5 C's. So you know that when Chitu spoke, he talked about positive peace. I want to speak about positive youth development. And I've classified that as having the 5 C's. The first C is competence. If we have all these young people with all of this knowledge and all of this energy, the biggest thing we need is to build your competence. So as a young person, if you want to be part of creating jobs for the future, something you must do is build your competence. Be like David and create your competence in the skill that you think you're capable of. Like David wants to build competence in cooking. So the first C for you is to build your competence. The second C is to build your confidence. Walk into a room and own the space. Make a pitch and let people trust you. So the first one, like I said, is you have to learn something to do. Alright? You must know what to do. In what I call our SI unit in Niger Delta, you must know something. If you don't know, follow who knows. Make you, when we dey say make you learn work. Learn work where you will fit to do. Build your competence. That is the biggest problem we have with young people. You want to employ person, the person don't sabi anything. Not only for book. Some of our people, some people the thing when you take your hand learn. After my pikin finish her masters, when she come do youth corps, I say go learn how to do makeup, learn how to tie hair. She dey Canada. I say learn. Everybody learn something. I was age 5 when I learned to bake. Learn something. Competence, and then we say confidence. Alright? Number 3. Number 3 is connection. It says in Akoya now. If you go, you don't collect person number, now you do yourself. So you can't finish, you go now, you don't collect person number. Now ask me question. Now, if they send granite, you don't take person number. I will take collect when they buy the granite for your hand. Now that's my dad in there when they sell dry fish. If you don't collect my number, don't collect how to give me money their number. Who should go give dry fish? Any opportunity where you get, collect phone number. Are you with me? Yes, senior. Okay, so I like build your connection. Man, no man. Man. Very, very important in business. Are we together? On a job, on an okay, now. Then if you can't build your connection, you don't get better character. Now, lost game. I think that time. Person when building connection. Today, you collect my phone number. Money, I dey sell fish. Now, agbara I dey sell. If they come from Andoni, now fresh agbara. I told them, maybe they sell fish. Okay, bring fish for me. Then the day when Mary go come, she go bring me that say na agbara she bring. You go down there like 3 weeks. You don't spoil. You don't rot. Tomorrow I go come here again. No. I go call am again. No. Aha. So build your character. Young people, there is something about character. Your interactors. So you know the 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Build your character. Have integrity. There's not here about the pride. Don't give and don't take. Be a person of your word. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Don't let your yes be maybe and your no be yes. So build your character. That's number 4. Number 5. Number 5 on my list of the C is caring. Are you with me? Hello? Hello? Number 6 on my list is what? Is what? Sorry, number 5 is what? Is what? Is what? Caring. In Rotary, we teach ourselves to care. Because when you are when you have empathy, when you care for people, it is good for business. You understand? If person come market now, they wait for your customer every time they come. As Tinubu economy come now, maybe the person comes to change customer now. Wow, I know if you buy 3 cup of exam as I dey buy before. My money no complete. Make I buy 2, but put small jara for me. I no talk say make you give her 3 cup before instead of 2. When you give her that 2, do her small, add small jara. You know wetin e mean? When that person get money, you no go another place. Na your place you go. Hello? Compassion, sympathy, empathy. You're a young person and you can afford to help your teacher, or you go home and adults know that, David is around. He's going to come and say, Auntie, can I help you wipe the table? Mommy, would you like me to? Don't worry, Mom, you don't have to. Can I make breakfast this morning? Don't worry about it. I will go on that errand. It makes a difference if you want to contribute to sustainable development and to job creation. Now, all of these 5 C's come together and make the 6th C, which is contribution. What is the 6th C? What is the 6th C? Contribution. All right. Okay. I'm done. Any questions? Any questions? If you don't have me ask questions, I will ask you my own. Any questions? I finished talking. I'm not here to talk for long. Did you learn anything? Yes. Did you benefit at all? Yes. Was it useful to you? Yes. Okay.
Thank you, RPICD. You mentioned Japan and Canada, and there's obviously a tagline for that. I'd like to, because it ain't nice to leave Nigeria, and the reasons are many to leave Nigeria. But there's something that the people who have stayed there abroad, be it Dubai or Ghana abroad or Canada, and those that have stayed in Nigeria have identified. The reason why Nigeria appears so difficult is that we haven't learned hard work. We haven't learned commitment, because this is a country where you can live with your parents till you marry. You will not pay any bills. In those places, at a particular age, you contribute to the income of your parents' household. If you're working, you contribute to the house. In fact, in America, when you go to school as an American citizen, you take a student loan for your education, and you keep paying it. Your parents don't pay for your school like they do here. So you find that we're actually very entitled in this country, and that mentality cannot get you very far. If you want to survive in Nigeria, you need to reset your mind. Don't act like every other person. Even if you're a medical doctor and you went to Canada today through the back way, not getting a job, you will do security job. If you went to America, you do taxi. If you get to London, you wash bathroom. When you're a medical doctor, you still have to grow from the bottom to the up. It can take you years, it can take you months, depending on your diligence. But in Nigeria, how can you ask even a university girl to go and wash a toilet? They won't agree. Because secondary school don't wash toilets. But you see, she's talking of getting employment for yourself. You can choose to go and wash some toilets and make money. That same toilet that you wash abroad, you can do it here in Nigeria. But really, walking around the clock is the only way. For those who have jobs, as they tell us, you have deadlines. And there are consequences for not meeting those deadlines. You can't give the things to give in Nigeria. Somebody here in Nigeria can choose not to come to school today, or go to work because their dog is sick, let's use a dog, or their dog died. And if you talk, they'll say, what's what I do? My dog died, my neighbor know well, I think my neighbor go to hospital. If you do it in the Japan environment, you lose that job. So discipline. Many people lose their family members, they can't come back and bury. Here, you say if you don't go, for your great-grand-aunt, they will not bury her. So, dear friends, if you want to survive in Nigeria, you can. But you need to behave like those who have their father now behaving. If you're doing great, a lot of us, somebody told me they have 40 acres of palm fruits in the village. And I asked him, where is the oil mill? And they have had it for years. You see, it can't be too young. If you Japan, you see people of 16, 17 controlling big businesses and accounting for it. Not everybody goes to school. You choose to go to school or you choose to learn a trade. So school is not really the ultimate. It's good to have education. But some people choose to learn a trade, and that's also education of a sort, but not the other side. So what I'll say in conclusion is that really this country we're lazying about. The youth are, they said the youth are very lazy. People took offense, they were lazying about. In that Japan, at your age, at the age of many youths, you work long vacation. That money contributes towards the money you take back to school. You don't hang around the house and press phone, watch video. And in Japan, finally, you don't press phone at work. You dare not. Doesn't matter who's calling you. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, sir. Okay, the other one is here. I don't know if it's working.
Hold it well. Hey, keep it at the back.
Come on.
That place where I was sitting.
You have a question?
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the lecture. My name is Christopher, and I have a few questions, and my questions border on 5 C's. First of all, I would like to say that I am also an employee of labor, and I've started of all. I've encountered few things that have to do with 5 C's. So let me start with 1, character. Today you meet somebody who defrauds you, and 5 years later he changes. How do you know you can really work with that person again? That's one. Then secondly, competence. And I want to speak more on our family members, friends, and church members taking our competence for granted. So you know how to do this very well. Hey, my son, my pikin, my uncle, my auntie, and they don't value you. So how do we tackle this issue? And then finally, caring. The way they got to me is everybody is going through one problem or the other. So it's even difficult to find out who genuinely cares for you. So how do we know somebody that genuinely cares? Because sometimes some people show care because they want something at the end. So how do we find out true care? Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very good question. So the first one is that it says somebody character. Somebody defrauds you 5 years later, the person has changed or claims to have changed. How do you know the person has changed? Unfortunately, there is no way of knowing. That's why they say there is never a second chance to make a first impression. There is never a second chance to make a first impression. But you know, like I say to people again, there is the side of saying, okay, well, let's see if we can give you another test. It depends on you. Grace is something that I recommend, but sometimes you burn your fingers many times. But you know, if someone says they've changed, are you going to open up your room for the person to come and steal everything again? No. So you give the person little tests. That's the only way. You give a test that if you lose the thing, it will not pay you too much. And see. And if the person passes one test, but not you now quickly open. Some people are very good at being tricky, but you can't be tricky for too long. So keep giving little tests. Don't. That's my advice. On the matter of competence, monetize your competence. What did I say? Monetize your competence. Shout it. Monetize your competence. Don't be like me, who will be giving it for free. It's only Rotary that will give competence for free. Monetize your competence. All right? Because if you keep doing it for free, you will never earn any money. So monetize it. You can do a 3 for 2. Do you understand? 3 for 2 or 2 for 1. That shows a bit of kindness. Auntie wants you to help her this time around. But let it go, some of you young people, I said that the millennials now complain that the Gen are very selfish. And you're right, they are very self-centered. Well, maybe they've learned something that the rest of us haven't learned, which is the need to prioritize self. But you know what? The problem I have with young people is, your child borrows money from you to start a business. They are not paying back the money. Then you tell me, they say, mommy, I beg, I'm using it for business. You will give me money. Are we together? So we must also know that there is a time to give back. There's a time to give back. When you can't give back money, your father and mother paid for you to go through university. Then they say, come and help me set up my phone or help me fix my phone. You say, it's my business. So, they paid for the training. They paid for the phone. So we need to be careful when we draw these lines. And yes, church sometimes can be exploitative. Sometimes church can be exploitative, but not always. So we need to also know when to say, I can do, okay, church says, we want you to do X, Y, Z for free, it's for the Lord. It's okay. I'm happy to do for the Lord on 2 Sundays, but the other 2 Sundays I need to get paid. Because this is how I pay my tithe. Are we together? Yes. Hello? Do you understand? Right. What was the first one you asked me? Caring. Because you can't trust people. Well, you never go wrong with being a nice person. Sometimes it looks like you're a fool and people tread on you. And hello, I've experienced that so many times in my life. People trample you on that thing, and you can feel like a doormat sometimes. And it pains you. It's very painful. But just be the person you should be. Do the good you can while you can. You're paying it forward. And I think I'm here.
Thank you very much, Ma. Are we learning? Yes. Okay, so I'm sure we are meeting your expectations. Okay, and we are dispelling your fears gradually. Wonderful. Okay, you've all had tea, so brace yourself for the next one, because this one is coming from a professional. So brace yourself. Our next speaker is our ultimate charter president for the Rotary Club of Harcourt Cosmopolitan, Rotarian, PhD, Innocent Yalia Harry. He's going to be taking us on micro, small, and medium enterprises, assessing loans and grants, cooperatives, and saving culture. Let's put our hands together as we come to the table.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We would like to have some silence in the hall. There's too much noise. We're done with tea break. There's too much noise from the back. So, can you stop that noise, please? I can't function with noise. Okay. We're going to be talking about empowering MSMEs, opportunities, financing, and cooperatives. We've talked about all the C's, all the good behaviors, all the things we need to do. But at the end of the day, we should learn to work for ourselves. If you look at Rivers State, for instance, we are told that we have 46,000 government workers who work for the government. And out of these 46,000, in the next 25 years, half of them will not retire, but some of them have worked their ages backward, we were told. So they never retire on time. So, and out of these 46,000 as well, you have some ghost names. So there are some little costs amongst the 46,000 people. And we're also told that the IOCs, which were recruited before this time, that the recruitment is not what it used to be anymore. We're also told that we have about 5 institutions of higher learning in Rivers State alone, the universities, the polytechnics, that put into employment field every year at least 6,000 people who are graduating. So on the average, if you have 6,000 people graduating every year, you're going to have how many? Sorry? That's not such a bad mathematics. That's 30,000. So which means in the next 5 years, you're going to have 30,000 people who want to earn jobs, but who haven't got it because the government cannot absorb them. Don't forget that the government is the biggest employer of labor. So, with this kind of very lovely picture, it means that everybody at some point must work for themselves. Right or wrong? When I hear young people who say they hustle, I get excited because everybody at this point in time must have at least 2 to 3 sources of income. Right? You are doing me? Because one, the jobs are not there, so the more sources of income you have, the better for us. So what we're looking at today is looking at how we can set the ball rolling in a very formal way to make sure that people are gainfully employed. And let me warn at this point that being gainfully employed doesn't mean Yahoo is not part of the employment we're talking about. Because I asked a very young person, one of these like, what would you like to do when you finish secondary school? He said to let me be a Yahoo person. So that means people are beginning to recognize Yahoo instead of the employment. That one, we're not going to talk about that. Can I have this slide, please? So let's look at the MSME. The MSME stands for micro, small, medium enterprises, which controls 65% of the GDP, the gross domestic product. Or put another way, that contributes to 80% of the private sector. I don't know about most people in this room who work for themselves and who are not here too. So we're looking at a very important economic enabler. Are we together? Are we together? Yes. Thank you very much. I decided to use this dollar conversion because the way a naira is doing, ordinarily, if you have 10 employees and a turnover of $100,000, you're supposed to be an MSME or the micro. But technically, in the Nigerian context, that would be like 50,000 naira, which is not very much. I'm sure the madam that sells God has that. So let's look at it in dollars and so you can see the picture because we're using international best practices. In the way of introduction, I represent the continent on MSMEs. I lead the 55 African countries, so I'm always traveling from one part of Africa to another to see what they are doing. So most times when I say best practices, we're trying to see how we can benchmark ourselves to the rest of Africa, even the rest of the world. Now the small enterprise would be those who have between 10 and 49 employees with turnover between 100,000 and $3 million. Now it's getting bigger, right? It sounds small, but $3 million, that's a whole lot of money. But in advanced countries, that is small. Whereas the medium enterprise would be employers of 50 to 249 employees with a turnover between $3 million and $15 million. So you can see we're talking about big bucks. Now, the importance that MSME are the backbone of most economies, constituting 90% of the private sector, provide secure employment 80% and contribute to 40% to GDP growth in the continent. So it is important that we be ignoring this sector at our own peril, and we will not ignore it. So, what opportunities are there for us? For the local market expansion, you start small, but you have to look at your environment. What do people need? Nobody wears fancy clothes very much these days, but every day we put something in our mouth, we eat, and we drink water. if we're not making it out. So which means if you're in the productive sector that takes care of that, that means you're providing an essential need. So you need to tap into underserved local markets. What we market now? Market is where there's an exchange of goods and service. So the market could be on your phone. It could be a physical market like the Tower by Creek market. It could be a massive market. Or it could be the little table along the road where people buy and sell. So that's all market. So you need to produce something that serves the underserved, which means you have to identify what they need. If you're in school, there are some young people who do business in school, if your school allows it. I met a young person, he tells me that he sells notebooks and pencils and biros. So, in school, he sells notebooks, pencils and biros because everybody in the school needs, so you have to understand what you need and provide that gap. You have to customize your product to meet the local need. Do you want to deliver it to them or can they come to you? Make it such a way that everybody is excited because the customer is king. Anybody who is paying you money, you have to make sure you customize your services to suit what he wants. Are we together? Yes, sir. And you have to look at technology and innovation, which means you leverage digital tools and platforms for business opportunity. Today, people have WhatsApp groups where they're buying and selling, Instagram. Take advantage of that because with that, you reach a bigger community. When the Port Harcourt Bowling Festival started, it was a very small thing. But today, the Port Harcourt Bowling Festival has been situated in the international map that people now look forward to participating. So it's a big event. You've heard about the Port Harcourt Bowling Festival, right? It was started by about 4 people who were roasting bowling and selling to people, and then they gathered the next year and the next year and the next year. Now it's a big festival. So you can see how a micro economy of bowling has grown into an international situation where people look forward to the Port Harcourt Bowling Festival. And mind you, the Port Harcourt bowling is second to none. If nothing else, in River State, we have the Bowling Festival, which we all look forward to. You are doing me, right? So you have to be innovative. So, global trade. Today, the Nigerians in diaspora buy our fabrics, they eat our food. So if you're able to tap into that small market, you already have something you're selling. So you're going beyond national frontiers to other parts. One of the things that the African Free Trade Agreement guarantees you is the uninterrupted movement of goods and services across international borders. So we're talking about no NEPA in Nigeria. You can actually go to any country like Mauritius that have regular power and set up shop from the terms of the African Free Trade Agreement and what the African Union stands for. The African Union is an opportunity where we can have Africa as one continent that encourages goods and services across the national frontier. And that's what we're working on. From there, you can set up an African central bank and possibly an African currency. Those are work in progress, just like you have the EU. But I know it's going to be difficult, but it's work in progress. Then you're going to look at government support. You know, every time we expect government to do magic, but unfortunately, we haven't been able to tap into the government support. There are certain things like tax incentives. If you're a small producer, you have a lot of tax incentives that the government can give to you that can help you pushing back your profit. You have subsidies and grants that support SME, which I'm going to take in subsequent presentation on this, subsequent slide on this presentation. Next slide, please. Now let's look at the strategies. Market research. We need to conduct surveys, focus group, and competitive analysis. We need to understand the market trends. At what point, for instance, did Ikwere Gari become international? Today, we have Ikwere Gari in markets abroad. Ask yourself, there was a time nobody thought Ikwere Gari could go beyond the borders of Isioko. But today, we have Ikwere Gari outside River State, outside Nigeria, you have the Jebu Gari. Of course, the Jebu Gari beat the Kore Gari a long time ago. If you go to Shepherd Bush Market in the UK, the Jebu Gari is always there. It has taken a permanent position. So now, think about what else can you put in the pipeline? Should it be Isam or Ungolo? Think about something, be ingenious. We need to create an effective network. We need to attend industry events and trade shows. Every year, the NACIMA comes up with events that small businesses should attend. Are you taking advantage of those opportunities to create a network that would help you? You need to join business associations and chambers of commerce. Small business associations, start with cooperatives, form business association of Isam sellers, dried Isam sellers for instance, dried fish, things like that. And those associations can actually grow to bigger forces in future. You need to apply some innovation, which means you continuously improve products and services. The way you package your goods makes the difference. And I'm told that the difference between plantain chips and bakery is what? Is what? Okay, fine. They're both the same thing. Plantain chips, bakery, one sells in the supermarket, the other one sells along the road. The only difference they have is the packaging. So you must make your goods very attractive. Alright? You must stay updated with industry trends and technological advancement. You will fry, this time, before this time, people fry chinchi only. But today, people bake chinchi, and the baked chinchi has a longer shelf life. You can package them properly, and you can stay on the shelf for 6 months. Whereas the fried one with oil does not stay. So you can say that innovation has created a huge business opportunity. And this is happens to dry fish. Before this time, you dry fish the traditional way, but now we've come up with better ways of drying fish that gives it a longer shelf life. So you need to be abreast with those developments. Are we making sense? Next slide, please. Now, when you've done all this, of course, you have to look for money. Some people borrow money and they don't pay back. And that's why a lot of people don't lend anymore. So you have to look at conventional ways of raising money. Should it be by loan or by grant? Loan, of course, are borrowed funds that must be paid or with interest. Be very careful about loan sharks. I was talking to a group of cooperatives sometime and they said they borrowed 300,000 from somebody in Rotary at 10% a month. And 10% a month translates to 120% per annum. Do you understand that? So you must be selling drugs to get 120% to refund. So when you borrow from loan sharks, already they have positioned themselves to make sure you default so they can grab whatever collateral you have. So be very wary of that. And then grants. But the beauty of it is that a lot of loans today through microfinance agencies and the Bank of Industry have come up with single-digit loans. Most of those loans are around 9% per annum. So that gives you a breather. If you have a very strong cooperative, you can borrow amounts for your small business at single digits. Those are the kind of loans you should be looking at. Grants, of course, are non-repayable funds provided by government or organization. That means they look at you, oh, you have a good business proposal, you package yourself properly, and they give you a grant. With those kind of grants, you don't need to pay back, but somebody is monitoring to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do with the money. Please do not take those grants and marry more wives for the men. And for the women, don't use them to buy wrappers, because next time they won't listen to you. So you must be credit worthy, even if it is a grant. Important access to financing is crucial for business expansion, innovation, and sustainability. Now, let's look at the type of loans for SMEs. You have the bank loans, which you can get from the microfinance bank or some of your banks. Today, you have organizations like Access Bank. They give loans through the banking channel. I don't know the quantum they are giving, but I think they believe they are giving. The central bank expects banks to give at least 25% of their loan portfolio to small scale. Where they're doing it is what I don't know. They're doing it to some extent, so you need to assess those loans. And the required collateral and strong credit history. You know, if you have talked about keeping your books and creating a credit history, one of the biggest problems that small scale business will have is they don't keep records. You take a loan or you start a business with 10,000 naira and you're selling rice and beans. Every morning you measure 2 cups of rice and cook and eat, right? You are depleting your capital, or your neighbor comes and says, I beg, give me 2 cups of beans, I will pay you later. Once that money doesn't come in, that beans is gone. 2 cups from a bag of beans is minus 2 cups. Or you're selling beer, and those people who run beer parlors, your neighbor or your husband comes and says, give me 6 bottles on credit. He will never pay you. So constantly you're depleting your equity, which is your capital. So it should be cash only if you want the business to succeed. And then you don't have unlimited access to your money. Everybody wants to be on salary. You say to yourself, out of this business I'm doing, my salary is 5,000 every month. I can't draw more than 5,000 from this business. Because if you're running a business with 100,000 and you're spending 50,000 feeding your family at the end, it's dead on arrival. Every business person must be on what? Salary. It's very difficult. Extremely difficult. But that's something you need to do. Put yourself on salary and make sure you restrict your drawings to that salary. That's the way your business can work. My wife runs a business and we used to have that argument. There was a year she said very big profit. I said, no, you didn't make any profit because the car you're driving is our car. The house where you're running from, the 3-bedroom and you're not paying rent. So how can you say you're making profit? And he's the chartered accountant. So we had this big debate. I would say every year you will set aside something that will cover an equivalent amount of rent if you were renting the property so that you can recapitalize it. We're backward and forward. Eventually she agreed to say, okay, for peace to rent, I'm going to make available 50% of what you're talking about. Because at least something is being set aside that you can replace your equipment and be profitable. So let's look at microloans. Those are small loans provided by microfinance institutions like Riverside Microfinance Agency. They've been in the news very recently on that. The idea for startup businesses with limited credit history, because at that point, you will be able to sell yourself credit-wise. There are also peer-to-peer lending, which is online platforms that connect borrowers with individual lenders. And they are flexible terms and lower interest rates. So for your small and medium enterprise loans, you are caught between any of these, the one that works for you. Now, assessing those options, you have to look at the interest rate. I just mentioned a 10% interest rate per month. That is a loan. You compare rates from different lenders to find the best deal. You consider both fixed and variable interest rates, because if somebody tells you are paying 10% and there's a management fee of 5%, and you think it's just 10%, by the time you look at that management fee or transaction fee or whatever fee, you're going into the other side of it which you don't want to be. And when you look at repayment times, understand the repayment schedule and monthly obligations, because if you don't meet them, they'll come after you. If you take a loan and you're going to be paying in equal installments, and when the loan comes at the end, you don't pay, they'll come after you, you've already defaulted, and you don't want to be there. And then you evaluate the impact on your cash flow. You say to yourself, if I'm paying, say, 5,000 naira out every month, can my sales generate enough money to pay that loan of 5,000 naira and still have some return on my capital? Very, very important. And then you look at the eligibility criteria. The typical requirements include business plan, financial statements, and credit history. For small businesses, your day-to-day record of income and expenditure is very important. A simple T account. You don't need to have a sophisticated something. Keep a record of your sales. This is your sales. This is how much it cost me to buy it. This is what might be profit after you pay yourself salary and other associated expenses. Keep that record. That's the only way you can prove to somebody outside that you're doing business. And then ensure you meet the lender's criteria before applying. Some people, once they hear loan, they apply, whether you meet or not. Some people, they just cannot resist loan, whether they need it or not. Like small business, oh loan, I want, oh loan. Some of them are having 12 loans. Anywhere there is loan, they want to take it, even when they cannot pay. Then we have the government grants, programs funded by national and local governments to support SMEs. Spain, for instance, Bank of Industry, Small Business Innovation Research, Economic Injury, Disaster Loans, all of them are there. We have private grants offered by private organizations, foundations, and corporations, like the FedEx Small Business Grant, Tony Elumelu Foundation. They are all there, ready to be assessed if you have the wherewithal. And then you have the international grants. That's a provision from international organizations like the UN, World Bank, USAID, and they focus on projects that align with global development. You know, every time and then, international organizations come out with specific loans to address specific needs of our. Keep your ears to the ground on that. Now, assessing your grant opportunities, you have the application process where you make a pitch, that is preparing a compelling proposal that aligns with the grant objective. And you follow the submission guidelines. Look at your eligibility. You check specific criteria for every opportunity and ensure your business and project meets that requirement. And then the impact. Grants must provide a non-repayable fund to support business growth. Can be used for research development and expansion and innovation. You might say, what has research got to do with small business? If you don't research and look around, how do you know what the environment is? So you need research as well. Now, let me introduce the cooperative, because there's no way you can run small businesses without going through cooperatives. They are members-owned organizations that operate for the benefit of their members. You pool your resources, you share your risk, and you have democratic decision-making and collective bargaining power. So you can have a cooperative of fish sellers, creek road fish sellers. You can have a cooperative of rubber block molders. You can have a cooperative of Isioko coffin makers. You can have, these are cooperatives, there's our trades. It can be that of plumbers. So what it does for you is that you come together as a group and you can be recognized, you go back to cooperative charter, which has the end of the objective, so you can borrow more effectively. So you have the producer cooperatives, owned and operated by producers, example farmers. You have the consumer cooperative, owned by consumers who buy goods and services. And then you have members who benefit from lower prices and quantity. You can form a cooperative and approach a manufacturer or say, so I said, this cooperative, you have distribution channels for all the soap consumed in Port Harcourt. So you have that model and can create cooperatives. And then you have the workers cooperative, owned and managed by workers. I mean, the IOCs have done well with this. Some estates have been built by organizations like Shell, Texaco, and all. These are cooperatives that kept together for a common cause, and they've done very well. And they promote fair wages and better working conditions. Now, steps to formulate, you conduct a feasibility study to assess the viability of your cooperative. You develop a business plan and legal structure. The legal structure is nothing terribly complicated. You agree that anybody that is a member of this cooperative, if you disgrace us by taking money and not paying back, we seize your house or we cut your ears, something as drastic as that to make them afraid. You won't cut their ears anyway. You register the cooperative with the relevant authorities. In Rivers State, it's the Ministry of Trade that you need to register a cooperative with. And then you have your legal requirements, which will comply with national and local regulations. And you obtain necessary licenses and permits. And then you put your corporate governance in structure. What happens if this happens? Those are the governance structures. And then it must be democratic and follow your bylaws. Now, how do you can't do all this without having some money kept aside. You must promote a savings culture. For that, you must have some financial literacy, that is bookkeeping. You educate your members on budgeting, savings, and investing. You must provide training and resources on financial management. The first speaker talked about financial management, so you're quite at home with that. You must have savings strategy. It sets clear savings goals and create a savings plan. Some people go around and collect 5,000 every year. That's all savings, and you pull your resources together to do something big. And then, if it's already savings through direct deposit now, one of the things that have done well in Africa is in Kenya, you have what we call the M-Pesa. The M-Pesa was used by farmers who are in very remote situations to pool their resources together. And that was when this mobile banking was not heard of. The Kenyans did it very well. And today it's working in Nigeria, so you don't need to physically collect. You can collect it by direct debit to your account. And when you have done the savings, then there must be reinvestment savings into the business of growth and expansion. Because when you reinvest, you're not borrowing from anybody, so the interest burden is not on you. So think of how you can convert your savings to investment. Then you explore low-risk investment options so you can build wealth. So now let's look at the benefits of savings called the emergency fund. It ensures financial stability during unforeseen circumstances, provides a safety net for unexpected expenses. Of course, it helps you with your business growth, can be used to further expansion and innovation. It reduces reliance on external borrowing, which is loans, and then it creates credit worthiness when you have savings. If you go to a bank and say, look, I want 10 million or 5 million, I have 2 million out of this, then that makes more sense than saying you don't have anything at all. Next slide, please. Okay, so in summary then, we can say that MSMEs have vast opportunities for growth through market expansion, that's growing your market, technology, and government support. We can also say that assessing loans and grants require careful assessment of options and meeting eligibility criteria. And then we can say cooperative and service culture provides financial stability and collective strengths for MSMEs through financial literacy, which is very important. So, as a call to action, we are going to encourage MSMEs to explore these opportunities and implement strategies for sustainable growth. Opportunities abound in Africa, in Nigeria. This is a 6-minute presentation I want you to listen to. And at the end of this presentation, you'll get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Because this is our Africa.
Countries and 1.3 billion people with an average age of just 18 years. Africa.
Please listen to this, it's very important.
Africa, it's your turn. You have a $7 trillion economy represented by 54 countries and 1.3 billion people with an average age of just 18 years. Africa, it's your turn. Half of the